Hello, welcome to Mix It Up Black History and the Restoration, where we normally mix up a recipe while we mix up the restoration and learn about early Black members of the church. The thing is, it is back to school week and it is crazy at my house, and so I'm making grilled cheese sandwiches, and it's not exactly a recipe that you really are excited to hear about. So I just want to quickly tell you a story though still, even though this week is getting out of hand really fast. It is about Ester Jane Kirchoff, but she went by Nettie, so we'll call her Nettie, and she lived in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Say that 10 times fast. With her husband and baby, when the two missionaries, Elder Boyce and his companion, came and taught her and her husband the gospel, and they received the gospel right away. They loved it and they embraced it, and they were baptized into the church. But the catch was there were no wards or branches where they lived, and they kind of had to live the gospel kind of on their own for 6 years before the branch was established. So that's a really long time. And when the branch was established, Nettie and her husband were both listed as founding members of the branch. And she was called to serve as the secretary for the Sunday school. And she served in that position for a really, really long time. In fact, there were many presidents and counselors that cycled through, but she was like always the constant and stayed in that calling for a long, long time. When I first heard that, I was surprised because, as we know today, the Sunday school presidency is made up of brethren. And so I was like, what in the world? That doesn't make sense. So I looked into it a little bit more, and at the time, Sunday school was the meeting for children. And so I think that it was before the primary was established, so I think that that's part of why she was in that position, or that a woman could be in that position at the time. And so she served there for a really long time, and then she was called to be the teacher of theology in the Sunday school, so still teaching the children, and she taught the children in that capacity, and she did a great job doing that. Then she was also on multiple boards in the community. Her husband was a stonemason, but she served on a bunch of boards that helped support and protect women and their rights. And so I loved that about her, that she was always busy and anxiously engaged in a good cause. So along with that, she also was a safe haven for missionaries. The missionaries always loved coming and being in her home, and she always created a place for them. One elder has 35 journal entries about her and her family. One of them, he said her son Milton was super sick, so him and his companion came and gave Milton a blessing and stayed awake with him all night, and they just loved Nettie and how warm and how welcoming she was. And Nettie stayed a member of the church throughout her entire life. In her later years in life, she lived with a Presbyterian family that took care of her, but they said, and her ward said, that she stayed firm in the gospel until she died at the age of 65. On her headstone is the psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want." And she just stayed faithful in the gospel her whole life, and was such a beacon of goodness in her community, and kind of a jet setter, because she took a lot of places of leadership and led out in her community as well as in the gospel. And so I just love Nettie. I love that she created a safe place for those sweet missionaries while they were out serving, and I love her example. That is the story of Nettie Kirchoff. Next week I will hopefully have a recipe for you. We'll be in a better schedule and everything with school, and things will be back on track. But I just wanted to hurry and share with you Nettie's story. And so thank you again for coming to Mix It Up Black History and the Restoration. I am Taylor Ricks, and I'll see you again next week.